the woman in the front row there.
The challenges of development of a country which is very poor, very unstable, and coming back to my reference to the basics, trying to help them with their economy. I think that's the first thing.
Isn't one of the basic problems that we just don't know very much about South Korea? It's North Korea. It's intensely secretive. Nobody really knows what's going on there. Is that right? I mean, I'll answer that first, Andrew, and then I'll put it to the others.
Well, I think so. I mean, I think in this panel, I have been there, and you've been there only occasionally. I think that the regime has shut itself up from the outside world, but from the various people who have visited, and then you can see that even as a tourist nowadays, you can go there as a tourist, and you can see the people underneath the surface. They're not happy. I don't think there's a paradise. I don't think there are many South Koreans would volunteer to live back in North Korea. So I think that even without going there and living there for a long time, we have a very good idea what the country's problems are. Now, as I said, I think that it's not the indications are absolutely not clear that he's a credible successor, in train, and hence the internal stability. And then because time is running out, I think the West should really come to grips with this issue.
I will come to you, Ella. I just want to ask our other two experts, how much do you think we actually know, and how much don't we know? Christoph Bluth first.
Well, we do know who the top people in the military are. We know quite a lot about the political elite. We know about his brother-in-law, Chang Song-tek, who seems to have had some control while he was having a stroke and so forth. So we know something about the personalities, but it is true that the leadership dynamics in North Korea are relatively obscure compared with other states.
We know nutrition, that sort of thing.
What's your take on Kim Jong-il, on the dear leader? Have you ever met him? He didn't give you your medal, right?
No, he did. I haven't met him. I'm afraid I'm not a person of such eminence as to be introduced to Kim Jong-il. But
we've heard various claims here. He's mad. He's dead. I mean, what's your view of the way he behaves?
I think that the questions are a little bit. You're presenting us a strange picture, which is presented by the media here generally, that one person, on the basis of force and evil,
I mean, we've got some of the leading career experts in the country on this panel. That's what they say.
Which you read,
yes, but maybe they get well paid for being the leading experts, and therefore they sing the capitalist game. Actually, people have talked about reform. You didn't ask me to come back on this question of reform, but what reform do they want? They want the reintroduction of capitalism in North Korea. Well, we've all experiencing the joys of capitalism at the moment. How many people have been made redundant? How many people have been thrown out of their houses?
How many people starved to death?
And then this repetition of all these people who starved to death. Well, I went to North Korea at the time when everyone was supposed to be starving to death, and everybody seemed extraordinarily happy. We went on bus tours, and the guides would be singing, and everybody would be enjoying themselves. You looked in the streets, and you could look to see whether anyone looked, and they just didn't look unhappy. Yes, they didn't. They didn't know. We were free to walk wherever we wanted, and we did. So this whole idea, obviously I'm not in a position to prove a negative. People make these assertions that this is so, this is so, this is so. I can't prove that they're not so, because it actually is impossible to prove a negative. But I would be absolutely astounded if those people were talking from anywhere other than out of the top of their hats.
Okay, question from the audience there, yeah.
If the description given, glorious description given by her is true, then the threat to the world comes from the Kim Jong or the regime or the people of North Korea.
Okay, do you believe that particular description? Is that what you're saying?
No, if that description is true, then from where the threat is coming to the world.
Okay, let's go on to another question. This one from, who should we have? Let's have the question from Umar Hanif. Umar Hanif, your question.
How much influence does China have over North Korea?
Interesting question, this. I mean, the Chinese are, of course, part of the Six Nation group, which is trying to resolve the North Korean nuclear issue. Andrew Leong, is the way this problem gets solved through China?
Well, China's approach to resolving conflicts around the world, not only in North Korea but in Africa, is very consistent with China's long-term strategy and also philosophy, that to resolve an issue, you don't confront people. You work around them, you talk through them, you understand their difficulties, and it's through this understanding the problems underlying this the question that you can develop a kind of strategy. So of course, China has got tremendous influence. China, as I said, supplies the food and the energy, but China doesn't want to resort to confrontational tactics because, as I was saying, this could make the problems even worse. The problem is rests on internal economic insecurity, and by shutting off the food, by shutting off the power, that would even make the country even more unstable. So I think that China, yes, it's got some influence, but on the other hand, the North Koreans, the leadership doesn't necessarily listen to what China wants to say to them entirely, because they're at the heart of the strategy is to talk directly with the United States, and because they see that in only this way they could have a kind of a support of their people, that this leader is truly, sort of be seen on as an equal with one of the greatest powers on earth.
Ella, you can't say that China is part of a Western effort to destabilise North Korea.
No, China has got its own interests, and Korea has its own interests, and more often than not they coincide. Sometimes they don't. That's life.
Sheikh Shah.
Hi, my question to Pan Mammal is, will Korea ever be reunified?
I agree that it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Optimistic than Aidan Foster Carter. Ella Rule, your view?
Yes, I think definitely it will be reunified, and it should be reunified along the lines that have been proposed by North Korea all along, that which is a confederation of two states with two systems. The North Koreans understand very well that the South Koreans can't be asked to change their system. The important thing is to reunify their country, and in the same way, if you like, that China reunified, got back Hong Kong and kept the two systems. Well, Korea is very interested in that and wants to reunify on two systems. Now, following the collapse in 1997 of the market in the Far East, well, then quite a lot of Korean capitalists actually started to take an interest in this reunification process. And I think that with the current collapse, we can expect that process to come back on board.
Ella, thank you. I've got to stop you because that, I'm afraid, is all we've got time for. Once again, if you'd like to be part of the audience here in London, please do call our hotline 0208 728 6472, 0208 728 6472, or send us an email at forum@presstv.co.uk. Next week, we'll be discussing the international extradition arrangements. But from me, Andrew Guilligan, goodbye until next time.